In this lesson, we'll look at script format. In this course, although we won't be writing a script, our focus is on the most crucial aspect of writing, which is understanding the script format thoroughly, which is a script folder. For me, it is very important. We'll explore script format, as future examples will demonstrate how to write a script for someone here. This understanding is vital for effective communication. To craft dynamic audiovisual scripts on paper, ensuring they are understood the same way globally when read. To successfully do this from another part of the globe, there are techniques and recommendations available. Every script comprises no fewer than 5 significant sections. It's crucial to define each narrative segment's location clearly. Concerning its location and timing, how does it unfold? What about the description of the action within the scene or sequence? These elements are crucial for understanding the narrative structure. Who is involved in the action and who initiates it? What does the initiator say if dialogue is present? How is this dialogue portrayed? These questions help define the narrative's structure and character dynamics. Who, what, where, and how it's said are essential. This style is known as objective writing. It involves presenting a scene, regardless of its emotional depth, in a detached and impersonal way. The aim is to convey events without subjective influence, allowing the reader to interpret the emotions and significance independently. Scripts lack emotional descriptions, focusing instead on the actions of readers and characters. This is what makes scripts so captivating and beautiful. To generate emotion through objective description of the character, because it leads us to our most ancestral. The perception of others involves visualizing their emotions through observing gestures and facial expressions, fostering empathy simply by noticing these cues. This ability to connect transcends time. Whether encounters are dynamic with abundant motion or still and contemplative, our approach remains consistent across every decade. The first thing we need to grasp is the existence of a specific format rooted in the era of typewriters. Scripts adhere strictly to one font style, Courier in 12-point size, or slight variations such as Courier New and Final Draft, which all trace back to the typefaces used on traditional typewriting machines. Where industrial cinema began, let's then closely examine each descriptive area of the script. Firstly, we focus on the scene heading. When expressed as a sentence, it needs to be split into precisely 3 distinct segments. The initial segment determines if the action we're about to describe occurs inside, outside, or in a transitional phase, like a doorway threshold. This classification helps in setting the scene accurately, ensuring clarity in the script's spatial context. An exterior part and an interior part. When inside something, it is written with a universal abbreviation. When outside something, write X. And when it's between both worlds, it's written as /E. In the second segment of the scene heading, the precise location of the dramatic action is revealed. It could be a kitchen, the captain's cabin on a ship, or even the bathroom, if that's where the character is situated. In the Sultan Suite of the Samurai Hotel, describe the 3 containers reaching the final area or samurai at the start, and the Sultan Suite later. This sequence highlights the transition between locations. And the bathroom at the end, separated by slashes or parentheses, indicating the final location. The scene heading should also specify the time of day, like morning or night, to provide complete context. Or night or moments later, similar to the 3 main criteria of geological time. The scene heading acts as a title for what we are about to write, which is the dramatic action. It sets the stage for the unfolding narrative, providing essential context and clarity. Dramatic action is always written in lowercase, with capital letters used only at the beginning of scenes. It should be in the present tense and from a third-person perspective. This format describes how actions unfold. There are 3 methods for presenting action: through sound effects, like precise character action movements, or as focal points where we focus on describing an event or specific action in detail. For instance, Clara sits at the piano, her fingers delicately pressing each key, creating a melodious tune as she plays the keys one by one, is a description of character action. As she lies down, a mysterious noise catches her attention. Instantly alert, she rises from her seat and hurries to the window, peering outside into the dark night for any sign of its origin. Each paragraph illustrates a distinct movement or reaction, guiding us through her investigation with precision and detail. Let's craft a new paragraph. What should be avoided in action writing? It's important not to describe emotions or thoughts. Focus instead on the actions and events themselves. The next script descriptor is the character's name. To maintain consistency, each reference to a character should begin with their exact name from the script. For instance, when mentioning Clara or Montes, use these names precisely as they appear. Clara speaks first, followed by Montes. Use Clara as a first name or Montes as a surname for sporadic appearances, whether as a businessman or scientist, if they're not relevant. Next to each character's name, we should include at least 4 options for indicating speech continuity. One such option is cont, which signifies that the dialogue continues from a prior interaction or that the same character keeps talking without interruption. The abbreviation OS stands for off-screen, indicating dialogue from unseen characters. Another term is voice-over, where a character's voice appears to come from outside or above the visual frame of the film. As if hovering above the film, detached yet intimately observing its progression, this narration comes from a place of omniscience, far removed from our human limitations. It reveals secrets and insights that we could never grasp on our own, telling the story with an all-knowing wisdom and clarity. Finally, there's the off indicator, which shows when a narrator is setting up the story. These combinations are quite distinctive, and we'll notice that voice-over frequently blends with off. We'll examine some examples later to illustrate this point. After character names comes dialogue. The dialogue is what the character says, such as, "Fredo, you're my elder brother and I love you, but don't oppose the family again." This dialogue should always be written in lowercase immediately following the character's name. If one character interrupts another, use 2 consecutive dashes, la. At the end of a page where dialogue continues on to the next page, simply carry over without interruption or special notation. We add the word more to seamlessly continue onto the next page. Finally, we have the parenthesis that tells us how the character says the dialogue. It's generally like a volume control where we can adjust the dialogue's intensity. For example, Clara shouting, "Look at me when I talk to you," the shouting goes in parentheses. Or Clara pretending to be calm, "What are you doing here so early?" Because the parentheses also allow a subjective expression of what the character is experiencing. It's written like this, in lowercase and without capitalization. Finally, we have, although it's not used as much anymore, the last script criterion, the transition. Typically, after each scene, one can choose to add cut to, fade to black. Let's examine how these parameters are applied in a script with some examples. We'll start with scene headings. Here we have the script for Lost in Translation. This will help us understand the structure and application of these elements in a screenplay. I've marked the scene headings in yellow. This helps identify them easily within the script. You see here in English, but we see that we have the 3 criteria. Exterior, Narita Airport, night. Each scene heading clearly indicates its context. Interior, Charlotte's room, night. This precise labeling helps us understand the scene's setting. See that? Interior, Park Hyatt bar, night. Interior, in the lobby, day. Here's an example because the scene takes place in a part of the lobby, and if you notice the part where the scene unfolds, the header scenes define the light seasonality parameters, with context indicated in parentheses for clarity and territory in every scene. Let's now look at some examples in the script about action. Marked in this color is the action. In this piece, there are 3 distinct scenes that emphasize particular actions through various techniques. First, we hear an eerie sound, then see the silhouette of a girl gazing out her window, creating intrigue. Next, our attention is drawn to a specific focal point, enhancing viewer engagement and mystery. A girl's backside on a bed. Let's explore how Sofia Coppola transformed her script into scenes. The first scene, on black, nothing is visible. In the next, a girl peers through a window. Finally, we see the girl's backside on the bed. In the next, we see a girl looking through a window. And in the third scene, we see the girl's backside on the bed. She captured exactly what was written in the original script on film. This is quite unusual. The script shows characters in uppercase before dialogues. This format highlights the unique naming conventions and dialogue structure in the screenplay. And here we have a good example where there's a character nominated with a specific name. However, we also encounter 2 businessmen. One speaks to you directly while the other is observed in conversation with you. Now let's look at the same script of Lost in Translation to see dialogues. One sees that the dialogues are at the center of the scene and are not related to the action. They come after the characters' names and are exactly what the characters say. Exactly as they would say it. They are not refined, not corrected. These are the dialogues as the character would say them, because dialogues build characters. Let's see an example of parentheses usage. The parentheses, it comes between the character's name and the dialogue. In parentheses, of course, and in this case, it's defining an emotional state. Well, they're trying to pretend everything is fine. And greets with a good morning but isn't feeling well at all. Take in this somber scene. "Oh, did you see Harry? Good evening." Where, how, is conveyed and in what manner. These are the essential criteria in script descriptors, serving as the foundational resources in this course. To summarize, I will create multiple scripts that include examples highlighted by various parameters, adhering strictly to the defined formatting guidelines for the script structure. Additionally, there are specialized tools not only for crafting the script, but also for efficiently managing our extensive folder, as you might expect. In the upcoming lesson, I will introduce you to these writing tools and explain how they can enhance your script writing process.